This is a strong knot for braided lines, and here we will test how to tie the strongest Palomar knot. At the end, there will be a conclusion, and we will look at a small detail you need to pay attention to. I've also made a test with monofilament and fluorocarbon lines. See the link below in the description. I call this series Knot Science. You might say not science, but at least I can say that I have tried to be as precise and consistent in my tests as possible. The Palomar knot is very easy to tie. Double the line and pass it through the eye of a hook or swivel. Then make an overhand knot where the doubled line is simply passed once around itself. This is the knot we will test first. We will later test whether it is an advantage to pass the line around 2 or 3 times. The large loop is now pulled down around the swivel or hook. This is necessary to tie this knot. If you want to tie the knot to a large spoon, plug, or similar lure, you must use another knot. For example, the uni knot. The loop is now passed around and over the swivel, and the knot is tightened. For all tests, I have used a braided line from a well-known brand. This is not a line test, it is a comparison between different knots. We start with the most common way of tying the knot, where the line is passed only once around itself in the overhand knot. I perform 3 tests, and the average forms the basis for the final conclusion. An average of 7.42 kilos, corresponding to 16.35 pounds, is fine. Now we test the Palomar knot tied with 2 turns in the overhand knot. The overall result is only slightly better than with 1 turn. The next step is 3 turns, and here you notice that it is a bit harder to tighten the knot, but you can still tie a good knot. Three turns are slightly worse. 2 turns are the best, but there is not a big difference. It is interesting to see that the results are very consistent. There are many types of braided lines on the market, and they all have different properties. I have tested the Palomar knot with 3 other well-known brands. And here are all the test results from the 3 other lines. As you can see, 1 turn is best in the first test. We also see that there is very little difference between 1, 2 and 3 turns. The test results with the 2 remaining lines show that 2 turns are best, but the differences are very small, and there is always some uncertainty and variation in a test like this. The differences are so small that a new test might give a different result. Together with the first line we tested, we see a fairly clear result. But first we need to look at a small detail before we draw the final conclusion. Braided lines are smooth and will always slip a little in the knot, but the Palomar knot also locks very well when the knot is pulled tight. You need to be careful not to cut the tag end too close to the knot. Leave 4 to 5 millimeters of tag end to be sure it does not slip. We can see that there is very little difference whether you use 1, 2 or 3 turns with braided line, and we can also see that the test results are very consistent. With monofilament line, there are much larger variations from knot to knot. In general, we can see that 2 turns are slightly better, and if you use a particularly smooth braided line, 2 or 3 turns will also lock the knot better. Use 2 turns for the Palomar knot.